G'day everyone, my name's Glenn and this is Aussie Tech Heads. Welcome episode 485. And it's the 28th of April 2016. I'll tell you what, aren't we punching through the months already this year? Thanks to ATH Web Hosting, Aussie Tech Heads Web Hosting, you can get some shared hosting wonderment for your personal or business website. Just go to ATH, that's ATH, webhosting.com.au. Affordable plans. Look, you don't even need to put a website there. You can just use all the space up as an email if you want. You know, if you want to get a vanity URL, joeblogs.com, and set yourself up as joe@joeblogs.com if you want to, and use it as an email address. How good would that be? Yeah. All right. And also tune in on the TuneIn Radio, which is available on cross-platforms, Android, Windows 10, desktop and tablet versions, I believe, iOS. Well, I think that's everywhere. TuneIn Radio. And, search for Aussie Tech Radio. And you may wonder, what is all that stuff? What is on the Aussie Tech Radio? Well, I'll tell you, it's wall-to-wall podcast, 24/7, back-to-back Australian podcasts, the likes of the Tech Webcast. We've got a couple of New Zealand podcasts in there as well. So jump on board and have a listen to that. You can find us on facebook.com/Aussie Tech Heads and youtube.com/Aussie Tech Heads. And the podcast webpage is aussietechheads.com.au/podcast. All right, this week in the hot seat, we have William. Hello, William.
Hey mate, you forgot to mention Obsidian Loft. There will be a new Obsidian Loft episode being recorded this weekend.
Oh, turn it up. That's one for the books. That's been
maybe an Old Fart Geeks if we got time to squeeze it in as well.
Oh, Milo's been asking about Old Fart Geeks.
I know.
So
that reminds me. I've got to. That just reminded me. I've got to message him back after the show too.
Oh, good stuff. Now, yes, Obsidian Loft. I've got a Minecraft story this week. We can have a little bit of a chat about that.
Yes.
And I've also, tried to build a Minecraft PE server. No, not much luck there, unfortunately.
It works. What more do you want?
The one that I paid for. But I wanted to build one on a server in my home.
That's just dev issues. That'll get sorted soon.
Yeah, I can't believe it didn't work properly. But yeah, so don't forget the Obsidian Loft and Old Fart Geeks. I'll tell you, I wasn't going to mention them tonight or this week because they haven't had an episode for quite some time.
No. It's been a scheduling issue, but it's the same reason I haven't been on ATH much either. Or Warlock for that matter. Just it's been transition periods at the moment, and we're all just been flat out.
Exactly. I call it the women transition period. I was only thinking today, because Eric's not here with us this week either. Something about his wife. She's gone out. He's got to look after the kids, so blame that one on a woman.
There's nothing nothing worse than transitioning into a woman, I tell you.
No, Will can't come on. Oh, we're going to blame that on a woman. Warlock can't come on. Blame that on a woman.
Yep. Exactly.
So it's not looking too good. Apologies to all the women out there. I'm sure that you aren't that bad to your man. All right. Look, I thought before we get into the news and everything, I just thought it'd be interesting to just give you an idea of where people listen to us from. Now, look, because I brought up a map. I've got this new fandangled, analytical thing that I've put together. And I can tell you, it's all over the world. It's amazing, really. And small little countries and countries like Malaysia. So hello, Malaysia. And where's that one? The Philippines, Japan, Thailand. Well, look at these little ones.
All the small little countries that nobody's ever heard of.
Yeah, we've got France and Germany and Poland and Finland, Norway, UK, of course. A lot of listeners in the UK. Hello. The US, of course. A lot of listeners in the US, Canada. So all over the place. So that's not too bad.
I even know some of the where are they from? I know a couple from America, and I know a couple of the ones from London.
And also Australia, of course, the biggest listening base.
I called London, France. I'm going to be in trouble now. I'll never hear the end of it.
You're going to be in massive trouble. Yes, there was something else I was going to say. Something that just popped out of my mind, but I'm sure it'll come back. The Aussie Mac Zone, that's each week as well, and also Aussie Tech Security. There's another episode coming out this week also, so that's every 2 weeks, that one. All right, so so that's a bit of a rundown on listeners. So if you're in there, any of those countries, say hi. If you obviously speak English, we'll hope so. You can send us an email. at Glenn at AussieTechheads.com.au or Will at AussieTechheads.com.au. And if you want to come on the show, have a bit of a chat and, join the panel, because we are getting light on because of the issues as I aforementioned. Come on. Square it with the boss first and send me an email. All right. What's going on this week, Will? What have you been up to?
Apart from having computer problems and having a few more computer problems and having other issues, it's been great.
Now, Will is on his webcam mic. So
we should explain that my audio is going to sound horrible, and I hate it, guys. Unfortunately, there's nothing I can do about it. My webcam mic, I have a proper high-quality Shure mic. I've got a proper XLR mixer. I've got the whole kit and caboodle, which all my audio is coming back to me through, but it refuses to go to the system. So unfortunately, I'm back on the webcam mic. Oh, thankfully, it is Logitech C930, so it's actually a fairly decent quality stereo webcam mic. So as far as webcam mics go, this is the one to be on.
Yes. Well, it's good. We're lucky you've got one of those. Now, look, let me start off with my Minecraft issues. I spoke to Will last week because I want my little bloke's he wanted to have a LAN party. So he wanted to have a Minecraft server. I thought, look, I've done that before, which I had. I've installed the little Minecraft PE server and on the Amazon cloud actually. But I thought it can't be too hard to install it on the PC at home on a spare computer. But all sorts of problems. But I think it is actually a problem with the actual software. Is that right, Will? That's what you think?
Yeah, I think because they're pushing out the updates so quickly. And speaking of which, I literally just logged on because I have. I'm running BlueStacks on my PC, so I can run Android applications on my desktop. So I've literally just logged on to the Minecraft Pocket Edition. I was going to show you guys the server. Minecraft just updated as I loaded up, so the server no longer functions because the server's outdated.
So is this the server online that you pay for, or
your server? Yeah.
Oh, so what? It doesn't work.
Minecraft's just updated to the new version, so your server's out of date. And this is the problem I think we're having. Is that the updates are coming out so fast at the moment because we're literally just updated to 1.4.2 and the server, which we only put up last week, is on 1.4.1. So I think this is part of the reason that we're having issues with the third, because Minecraft don't do a server per se for the Pocket Edition. They let you have a multiplayer option within Pocket Edition, but you have to have one of the devices on the network. They don't let you run a server. So the servers are done by third parties. And I think at the moment, just with the release schedule coming through as fast as it is, I think that is having a hard time keeping up.
But why is it? So what happens there? So each device has to be on the same version. Is that what it is?
Yeah, so your servers... it's the same on PC. The difference is the PC ones don't come out as regularly. But the server and because it's all Java based and it's all modular based, every module has to be identical to every other module, so all the versions have to match. If they do an update and they change one little tiny part in one of the little modules, then the modules no longer match. So when you go to load the game, it won't let you load because it's a different version.
Right.
It's all to do with compatibility, but it's the same. That 1.4.2 rollout that just rolled out onto this, rolled out on my phone today, and rolled out on the iPad, so it's rolling out on all the devices today. So it means that by tonight, your server's outdated, even though it's only been up a week.
Yeah. Right.
Now, this is alleviated when you're actually playing from within the Pocket Edition, because when you go play, you create a world, you open the world up, then you open up to a network. And it doesn't really matter because it's always going to be the current version because you're playing from within the actual game. But when you're running the server, you're basically taking those mod files, you're tearing them apart, you're accessing the parts of it you need to make the game run. So every time there's an update, you've got to do the whole process again, which is what the third-party software does. But there's a lag time between when the update comes out and when the software is available to do something about it.
Are you saying that you shouldn't update your device until...
You have to with auto updates. There's no way around that. I guess there probably there probably is a way to turn off auto update, but I don't think there is on Wi-Fi. If you're on Wi-Fi, I think it'll do it as soon as it gets a network connection.
But yeah, so anyway, I did set it up. Will gave me a host overseas. I set it up. It was piece of cake it was after all the issues. Look, I don't know they obviously get it to work. I don't know why, but anyway,
they'll be using, but the thing is there'll be one tiny issue that they're aware of, so they're tweaking the code to make that work.
Okay.
It is all open source code,
Yep, yep. All right. Well, look, enough about that, and on to the more of the actual Minecraft story. Now, more than 7 million Minecraft credentials have been exposed. Now, Lifeboat, which is a popular server, or that's what you call it, a popular server, game/world or something. Lifeboat runs servers for Minecraft Pocket Edition. Now,
Sure they do.
Yeah, now Troy Hunt, who maintains a database of compromised user credentials, accessible via his Have I Been Pawned website. That's PWNED. And go to the links in the show notes. And what happens is Lifeboat's network was hacked in January this year, resulting in a data breach exposing the game's 7 million plus user base. Now, Hunt accused Lifeboat of failing to notify its customers of the incident. Now, because I know my two kids are on this Lifeboat thing, I didn't see any emails coming across. Now, passwords accessed in the breach also hashed with a weak MD5 algorithm, making them susceptible to cracking. Now, just this week, Lifeboat issued a security update acknowledging the breach, noting that leaked information included usernames, weakly encrypted passwords, and emails, but no personal information as real names or addresses. Well, that's not good enough, is it? Because, like you sign in with your email address or whatever it is. Well, you're going to use the same password here and there and a couple of other places. So anyway, look, I went to this I Have Been Pawned site, and I thought, I'm just going to type in my thing and my email address and see if I've been pawned. Hang on, and here we go, techheads.com.au, and lo and behold. Oh, I'm clicking the video, not the actual player. Okay, and lo and behold, let's have a look. Oh, it's taking its time. Oh, good news. No pawnage found. That's because I didn't spell it right. No, yes, I did. Oh, no, left an E out. Hang on, because I did it before.
Apparently, I have been on 2 breach sites.
Yeah, so I've been
Which is interesting because I don't play the Pocket Edition, so I'm not sure where they're getting this from.
No, well, I've been breached. The Adobe breach, which happened in 2013. Plex happened in July 2015. And XSplit in November 2013. So, yeah, compromised email address, name and password, username. Compromised email address, IP address, password, username. Email address, password, hints, passwords, and username. So all 3 of those, I've my email database, password, username, it's been in the Adobe, Plex, and XSplit. It's out in the wild. So change your
I got done.
passwords.
I was checking mine too. I got done from the Adobe and the XSplit, which is actually interesting given that I didn't use my email address for either of those two. I used another email address. So that's a good trick. I think they might just be putting it up on everyone's account.
Now, as I was just fiddling around the other day, looking at this Have I Been Pawned, that's spelled PWNED. Now, you go to the Urban Dictionary and look up the definition of it. Now, you can hear the actual pronunciation of it, and some of it, it's quite funny. I won't play because some of it had a couple of swear words in it. But the unique thing about this Urban Dictionary that I didn't know was it gives you, it's just like a rolling, you must be able to just dial it up and just say, this is how I pronounce it, and go blah, because it just different people. You just hear different people pronouncing it. It's really good.
It's every course. Pawn just come from spelling owned wrong. Basically, it was a noob version of spelling owned wrong, and the same thing. Noob, it just came about from being new. It's just you're a noob at it. They're just bastardizations of words.
So so at the end of the day, change your password, because if you've been pawned, well, then that means that your username and password and so forth is probably out there somewhere. And you don't want people getting into your emails if, in fact, the password and username is the same.
Yeah, they can have it.
Yeah.
They can have the bills that go with that email address too.
Oh, they'll be happy with that, I'm sure. Now, what's caught your attention this week, Will?
Honestly, there's not a heck of a lot going on in the standard tech realm. There's a few little niche things that I'm currently interested in. When 3D printing is one of them. And as some of you guys may know who follow us on Facebook, Glenn put one up the other day of a guy 3D printing a castle.
Did that come from you? I can't remember. I don't know where I got that one from. I don't know if you. I know you put one up.
Might have shared my Facebook. I can't remember. but there's been a lot of that sort of stuff going on. Actually, it's getting more and more accessible to the average person now. Like even 12 months ago, a semi-reasonable 3D printer was $1,000 just for a small one.
Yeah.
It's getting to the point now where even Audi's selling 3D printers now for like $500. J-Car's got them for about $450. So they're just becoming a regular run-of-the-mill thing, which is double-edged sword. One is it makes it very easy to find parts and components and build your own, which is what I'm currently doing. I'm actually in the process of making my own 3D printer at the moment. But it's quite an addictive little thing when you realise what people are actually doing with them now.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah, this guy, building the castle. But I was looking around. There's actually a company in Japan who is actually building skyscrapers with 3D printers.
Yeah, that's amazing.
And like full-on cars, and they're prefabbing houses to go to like either war-torn or decimated places where they need emergency accommodation housing. They're literally just taking over powdered plastic or concrete or whatever their particular. There's metallized plastics. There's all sorts of stuff you can use, and because it's easy just to ship it. Massive shipping container of powdered plastic basically over there, take over some big 3D printers, and they're literally just printing houses on the spot for these places.
Because I guess you could also start putting like molten steel through these things and just building steel structures. I suppose that's what the skyscrapers are probably built out of as well.
Well, a lot of them are made all out of composite materials. To do steel, you could, but the problem is once something gets to the molten state, it gets very hard to control. So to feed steel out through a nozzle at a controllable, like that's concrete, but it's still fairly, even when it's wet, it still conforms to whatever shape you make it. Whereas with steel, if it was that molten and liquid, it's not going to stay in that shape.
Yeah, it's amazing, isn't it? It's absolutely amazing.
I mean, it's super impressive. And the finesse, such a massive, big structure, has such this, ability to have such a fine, pinpoint, repeatable,
and
action.
And there doesn't appear to be much like spillage of the cement. It's just a totally precise squirt, isn't it?
Yeah, it really is. I mean, a 3D printer, a normal plastic printer, is exactly the same. I mean, if you think about it, it's we've been doing things similar on mills and CNC routing machines and stuff for a long time. But it's the opposite. You're taking a material away in a precise fashion. This one's the opposite of that. You're adding a material in a precise fashion. So in some respects, it's even harder to do, but the principles are still apply. But it's quite amazing now that it's getting to the point where you buy a Arduino Duo board, you buy a display, you buy 5-stepper motors, half a dozen linear rods, and some bearings. And for the sake of $45, you can make a 300 by 300 3D printer.
Yeah, that's good.
Like it's just, I just find that incredibly fascinating now. So that's one of my projects I've given myself to do and to see, see what it's like.
Another project. You love them, don't you?
No, not at all. But I hate having heaps of unfinished things, but I hate not. At the moment, like I've built the frame and I'm waiting on all these components to turn up. So I'm doing other bits and pieces at the moment, So I've got like 14 projects on the go, but it's a matter of assembling this much and then waiting for a month for the parts to turn up from China. Then assembling a bit more. Yes,
I know what that's like. Now, look, this is a bit of, I suppose, surprising news that's come through just later this week. There's been a man that's been found dead in the Apple conference room. He was an employee. Now, early reports are saying that it was a gunshot wound, but nothing's really been confirmed because obviously it's pretty recent. This story.
Apple.
Yeah, well, Apple has said in a statement it's working to support the people who worked with the young and talented man, but it has so far declined to identify him. He was found dead in the conference room inside the headquarters on Wednesday. Police were called at about 8:35 a.m. and for a report of a person down at 1 Infinite Loop. They found the dead man. They determined there was no other individuals involved, and they believe it was an isolated incident, and that there was nobody else on the campus or in the car park at risk. So yeah, that's no good. I don't know what would drive someone to do that. Is it's beyond belief. Obviously, they do need help.
Probably the guy who said we can't give you access to the phone. Oh, we've already got it. Oh, well, too bad.
Yeah.
I don't know. I think I missed my boat on that. That was a couple of weeks ago, wasn't it? A few weeks ago, I remember Eric, myself, and you were talking about that whole thing where they're taking Apple to court, trying to get the privacy overturned on this guy's phone.
That's right.
And then remember back then I was saying it's because they've already hacked into it, but they want permission.
Yeah.
And then about 2 weeks later, it came out that they already had the data anyway.
Yeah, that's right. So but look. Yeah.
Probably that guy.
Well, moving on just quickly from there, because we don't want to dwell on those sort of bad stories, but look, some more, not as bad, but some more unfortunate or bad news from Apple is the first time in 13 years it's reported a fall in sales and a fall in iPhone sales. Sales were down around 8 billion compared with this time last year. Shares have fallen 20% in the last 12 months, and Apple sold 51.2 million iPhones during the quarter, which is down from 61 million in the same quarter of 2015. So down 10 million. What do you think of that? I bought one, so I'm 0.0000001 of those.
I'd hate to say about time I told you so, but
Yeah. Well, I know, look, if you listen to the show, when Eric's on, look, we do go on a bit about that. We don't think that Apple is being inventive enough of late, and this is probably showing through.
Speaking of Apple, our point of sale system died at work a couple of weeks ago. So the boss had an old iMac laying around. It's an i5 dual core or something. So he bought it in, formatted it, bought it in, fresh install. Talk about the worst system you could possibly use for a point of sale.
But what?
To start with, the keyboard doesn't have a numeric pad on it. It's one of those crappy wireless keyboards that sits flat on the desk. That when you're standing up above it in a point of sale, because you stand up behind the counter, so the monitor's way up here.
Yeah.
Typing down straight onto this flat keyboard with no tactile feedback and no numeric keyboard.
But it's probably not meant for a POS system.
Oh man, it's so bad.
Buy another keyboard.
My boss is I put the USB one on it. My boss's Mac through and through, like they're the best things ever. And he goes, "Oh yeah, that's right. I knew that keyboard was laying out for a reason. I couldn't stand it either."
And what sort of iMac was it?
It's one of the flat all-in-one things.
They're all like that, aren't they?
Yeah, I don't know. It's like a dual core i5, I think. It's about 4 or 5 year old. I think it's got 4 gig of RAM. It's a fairly decent spec system, but it does weird things like when you go and print a PDF, it looks like one of those. I don't know.
Yes.
And when you go to print a PDF, it closes down Safari, opens up a PDF, because we're using Xero, which is all online. It closes down Safari, it opens up the PDF reader, loads up the PDF. Only way you can print that I've found is to press Command P. You then print that, you close down that window, then you have to reopen Safari and go back into Xero because it shut it down.
No, there's something wrong.
It's a fresh install. It's literally just had a fresh install put on it.
Look, I'm not a fan of OS X at all. I don't particularly like it, but it works better than that. It does.
Well, I mean, I look, and as I've always said, they certainly have a purpose, and I can see how when this thing was released 4 or 5 years ago, it was, you can tell it was top of the range system. Like it was a powerhouse. It was designed to do what it did,
Yeah.
But man, they are really in that mindset that you have to use a Mac to know how to use a Mac.
Yeah.
You can't go from PC to Mac flawlessly. It just doesn't happen. You got this stupid mouse that if you look at it the wrong way, the screen moves and all sorts of stuff happens.
But probably vice versa as well. Like you move from
no doubt, but not really. You can go from PC, but you can go Windows, you can go Linux, you can do a lot of those variants, and they're all very similar because they use the same hardware, same keyboard, same mouse. Well, a normal 2-button mouse with a scroll wheel.
Yeah. Well, on a Mac, you get the pleasure of the nipple, and you come across to the PC, you got a wheel. No?
Well,
what would you rather?
This mouse is just a flat piece of plastic that when you touch it in different places, it does different things.
Is that the Mighty Mouse?
Oh, is it? I don't know. It's so bad. It's about this thick, so that you would, like, as I said, remember you're trying to stand above it. So you're trying to use this mouse that's like this thick, and you do something and you run your hand across it and your screen scrolls up and you're like, ah! That was just reminded me of, that's just an interesting thing, because occasionally he'll go, how do I install a printer? Because we got a new printer in the other day. Actually, that's something I want to talk about one day too. We got the new Xerox printer in, which uses wax. We saw it at the conference a couple of years ago. The Xerox printer, you know, the conference at the Entertainment Centre?
Yeah.
What's it called?
Yeah, the Convention Centre in Brisbane.
Convention Centre, yeah. Saw that Xerox printer that uses the wax discs that you put into the printer and it prints with it. Yeah, we got one of those.
Are they good?
Oh, man, I tell you what. Do a full photo quality 1200 DPI print on A4 page in half a second.
Oh, nice.
Just straight through. This thing comes stock standard with a stapler, which is neat. But it comes with 160 gig hard drive and 2 gig of RAM in a printer.
Yeah, right. So what was the ink made out of?
It's wax. Let me see if I can find it. It's called they call it solid toner.
Yeah, right. I'm going to look for a little picture of it myself.
Yeah, they call it solid toner or solid ink, and it's literally a wax cube. That's it. That slides into the printer, and that's actually a different model, but it's the same sort of deal. And it the disc is about I don't know, an inch by inch by inch, and each one of those does 3,000 pages at your standard. You know, there they are down there. Yeah.
Yeah. So these ones here. And is it expensive? Expensive to run?
It's no. We worked it out. I did a quick calculation. I mean, to buy it brand new is $5,000. We got this X demo. We got X demo for $500.
That's all right.
They got a 250,000 page per month duty cycle. And each block of ink does 3,000 pages, and there's 6 blocks per cartridge.
What does
it works out to 0.008 cents per print.
What does the print feel like? Does it feel waxy?
No, it actually, you would swear you're printing on photo paper. If you've ever seen, like, your driver's license, or a lot of RSLs use the phasers, the photo lasers.
Yeah.
It's very, very reminiscent of that, but it's probably slightly glossier.
Right.
The only thing I haven't tested yet, I didn't bring a print home with me. The only thing I haven't tested yet is to see if it is affected by water in the same way that a normal print is. But I doubt it being wax. I would say it repels the water.
Yeah. Yeah. How cool is that? That sounds good.
I mean, this thing, in all honesty, if you're running a small business or even a large business, and you want $5,000, something that's going to cut your costs down to a ridiculous amount, we're talking 0.08 cents for the consumables, not including the paper. Obviously, that's that's whatever your cost is on top of that.
Yeah, that's pretty cheap, isn't it?
You know, and I worked out that 250,000 pages a month is basically 2 reams of paper a day.
What are the places like the banks and all that? What sort of printing techniques would they use?
For their normal day-to-day, they just use standard.
No, for like printing the statements, the centralised prints.
Well, most of that, you probably find most of that still done on the commercial printers. Like the what do they call them? The press prints, whatever they are.
Yeah, right.
Like that sort of thing, because that technology hasn't really changed. I mean, those things are huge too, but
they would be.
Short of something like that, this thing is, in all honesty, like, when they came out, I remember talking about them. I think I was talking to you about them. Actually, we're looking at them going, and we're like, who's going to pay $5,000? Well, actually, I think when they came out, they were like 7 or 8. Actually,
probably, yeah.
And they're still 5, but for $5,000, yes, they're definitely worth it. For 10, probably not worth it, but for $5,000, they're definitely worth it.
Look, there'd be if you did your sums, there'd be a break-even point there somewhere of ink/wax.
Well, there's in normal laser too, you have the toner waste cartridge.
Yep.
After you've replaced the toner cartridge, every couple of times you've got to replace the waste cartridge because it fills up with old toner.
Yep.
Whereas this thing eventually just fills up with old wax. and you can either just chuck it in the bin, or you can actually throw it in an envelope, send it back to a mob who recycles and turns it back into print cartridges again.
In the good old days and the old laser printers, they'd just spew that wasted toner out the back, wouldn't they? Just get rid of it.
Photocopiers did. That's why the photocopy rooms are always black. My sister, up until a few years ago, still had an old... What were they called before they were called photocopiers? They had some weird name. They printed with an alcohol base. I can't think what they were called.
Did they roll out? Did you roll?
Yes.
Yeah.
I mean, they're still automated.
That was a long
but
time ago.
pre-Xerox, if you want to call it that. But
Yes.
there was that transition period where they went from like this alcohol-based liquid almost to an actual toner.
It was like a stencil.
Something like that. I can't think of
wasn't it? Yeah.
And
Anyway,
my sister's got one of those very first photocopiers that still use the drum style and the high speed, but with the powder. And yeah, you hit copy or print, and this thing would fire like a 6-foot mist of toner out the back of the drum when the drum fired up.
there you go. That's the good old days.
Yeah, that's it. You know, when you get the toner jam light come on, you'd pull the toner tub out and it'd just explode all over the place.
Yeah, how good.
I tell you what, I don't miss that. I actually used to be a photocopy and printer service technician down in Melbourne, and that was the number one thing we'd get called out for. Oh, we tried to change the toner, but with what? You know, what were you wearing? Welding gloves and a mask? Like, how could you possibly do that?
Well, that picture there that we've just put up, there's 2 footprints, and it just looks like
footprints.
The tech's been exterminated. He's just gone. He's what is it? Spontaneously combusted.
I have wound up like looking like a coal miner coming home from jobs with those things.
Yeah.
By the time we were called to go there and fix it, you can imagine 14 people have tried to already fix it.
That's right. Yeah.
There's just toner and there's paper and there's bits of plastic and there's crap.
You try the janitor before you call someone. So, you go through everyone.
Well, sometimes you can see where they've tried to clean it and they'd try to use like spray and wipe, or they'd try to use the mop and bucket. And of course, it's not water soluble, so you mix it with water and just spreads it. It doesn't absorb it, so you got to use alcohol to clean it up. So you can see they've got this mop, and there's just these massive big streaks of black toner across the floor.
Yeah, it's pretty filthy stuff. Yeah,
it's great. I do miss it in some respects. So I kind of enjoyed that, actually. You know, rocking up with a purpose instead of just going there to clear a paper jam like you do.
Down and dirty. Get a paper clip out. Now, what else is around, Will? Have you got anything else?
Speaking of useless inventions, Dyson.
Oh, yes. I saw this.
Yeah, you know that company that we all love and hate.
Yeah.
Because they go, hey, we've got a brilliant product. It's exactly like everyone else's, but it's 4 times dearer. So they've just released a $94 million hairdryer.
How much
that
it
promises
costs?
a quieter, less damaging experience. Okay, it doesn't quite cost $94 million, but they've turned their attention to personal styling, revealing that a $94 million hairdryer, 4 years in the making, so it's cost them $94 million over 4 years. It's called the Dyson Supersonic. It's a lightweight, strangely shaped device with a purple barrel, no blades, and the company promised high velocity, air jet, and noise beyond the audible range for humans.
Yeah, but it's like one of those fans, isn't it, that you get these days with no blades?
So what they've done is they've spent $94 million, and they've taken a 12-inch bladeless fan, and they've made it into a 1-inch bladeless fan.
Yeah.
Can I please work for Dyson and be in charge of their R&D department?
Yes.
And I would love to have that sort of money to do the same thing you're already doing.
It looks like some sort of device.
It kind of reminds me of like a female version of a sonic screwdriver.
Oh no, doesn't it? Yeah, like a sea devil or something.
Yeah, I mean, okay, yes, it works well. It's blows hot air and it's got a motor. Apparently, uses a motor impeller, which. That's a whole nother impossibility. With 13 blades to change the sound frequency of the hairdryer to one the company claims cannot be heard by humans, and a glass beat, that should be bar, thermistor to measure the temperature 20 times a second, which with a computer chip is used to control the heating element to prevent hair damage.
Yeah, well,
but
you can't hear the motor, but you can hear the air wishing through it at
yeah,
100
you hear
decibels.
sizzling. You go, I think it's a bit hot.
Yeah. The whistling will deafen you, but the motor's all right. Be
Dyson's latest creation is not likely to be cheap when it arrives in Australia. The company will sell a device for £300 in Britain.
Wowzers.
571 Australian dollars at current exchange rate for a hair blower, noise maker, something device.
Just go to the public toilet, stick your head in one of those things, you'll be right.
No, because you'll get urine everywhere if you.
Now, talking about the most expensive things in the world, the world's most secure iPhone. Well, I shouldn't say iPhone. The world's most secure phone, because it's not an iPhone. The world's most secure phone, and it's not a BlackBerry. It's on sale for $20,000. Now that'd be US costing. Now look, here's a picture of it. It's all nice and gold. A British-Israeli startup plans to sell a mobile phone from next month that will offer unprecedented levels of technology and security. Now,
so last model's iPhone then.
Yeah, that's right. Now, look, that was an iPhone, but I put that up there because Apple has an iPhone, a really expensive one. It has the iPhone 5 Black Diamond, which sold for $15.3 million. So it's just like it's an iPhone that's just been dipped in gold. Now, look,
not half as sexy as a DeLorean that's been dipped in gold.
No, that's right. Now, Siren Labs said last Monday it had raised $72 million in private funds to launch this now the most secure device in the world, which would be aimed at executives. The phone will be based on Android. You'd be happy to hear that, Will? Operating system. I don't know how secure that would be, though.
I'm not happy to hear that. I'm not surprised in the slightest, given it's the most secure operating system.
So it's based on Android and runs otherwise unspecified technology. 2 or 3 years in advance of the mass market.
Yeah, because they haven't developed it yet. They're still not sure what they're going to put in there.
Yeah, that's right. They reckon, look, I didn't know there was a market for this, but there's a global luxury phone market, can you believe?
Yeah, of course there is. Why do you think all the big names like Porsche and Bentley and Ferrari, they all got their own phones luxury, and hats and golf clubs and...
So so the market is 1.1 billion, a fraction of the total mobile phone. Yeah, most top-end phones sold are more for status, which enter the...
Well, half of them don't work. They're covered in gold plate, they're covered in diamonds, they're covered in all this other stuff that blocks the phone signal going to them anyway. So half the time, like the new Bentley, it starts with a C, Concierge or something. It's a GT Bentley. It's like $500,000 car, 600 and something horsepower, 1,000 foot-pound of torque. But they call it the what do they call it? The solidarity zone or something when you're in it.
Right.
Once you close the car up and you shut the doors, it blocks all RF and like all thing. Yeah, that's the thing. It blocks everything coming in. So there's no phone signal. There's no Wi-Fi. There's no RF, so you can't use, two ways. It won't come into the cab.
Nice.
So you've got this car that you're going to ring your mate up and go, hey, I'm going to come pick you. Oh, wait, I can't.
Well, why can't it? Yeah, I don't know. Can't it just come through an aerial and just direct? That's the only microwave in the car or something?
But it's the same with these phones you're talking about. They literally are status.
Nice car.
Shit, I'd want to be.
Yeah.
It's literally a status thing. Like the phones generally have a very short life. They're only going to last as long as 12 months, 2 years, maybe as long as that person's got that car. After 2 years, they're going to trade it in on a new model anyway. They're not really practical. They're probably to save, they're going to be heavy because they're going to have all this other stuff on them. They're probably nuke the battery life to allow other things in there or to make the phone smaller or whatever. And as I said, because they're going to be covered in all these different metals, as Apple know, metal is it's a great conductor, but it's also great for conducting interference, not just the radio frequency you want. So given that your aerials are already generally, like on a Samsung, for example, because I've got one here, if I pull the back off quickly, you can see, you kind of see, but there's a little bit up in here that has, it's a bit hard to see, but that's basically where your aerial is in that plastic tag there. So that's pretty much your aerial. It's out of the way when you hold it, so you don't cover it with your hand. It's out of the way of, everything that can cause interference with it. There's a reason for that. If you then put that in a metal case, your aerial is effectively grounded, and you've got no signal getting through. So, I dropped my phone the other day too. It looks really crusty. See all the lovely damage up in the top corner there?
Yeah, what happens? That cam?
The screen's completely shot. It's actually delaminating. You can actually see, the screen separating from the pressure pad.
Nice. Good stuff. New phone soon.
I'll tell you what, it's done pretty well. For me to get 2.5 years out of a phone is minor miracle. Right. They're pretty much indestructible, I'll tell you.
Hold on to that Telstra SIM, won't you?
Yeah, I know, right? Anyone want it? I'll sell it cheap.
Yeah.
I'm off contract now, so
you wouldn't sell that one. That's a beauty.
Nah, that's a keeper.
Now, look, Will, you told me you brought something to my attention earlier on this week. Steve Wozniak is, as you know, he comes to Australia. I think he spends about 6 months here and 6 months back in the US. I think his daughter married an Aussie or something like that, son or daughter or whatever. So he likes it out here. But look, you can have the pleasure of his company in a little sit-down chat and, be entertained by Steve Woz. He's doing a tour of sorts. Melbourne, Brisbane and Sydney. So there you go. Look, if you're interested, I think Brisbane tickets are around $70 from when I looked.
That's for like nosebleed.
Yeah.
I
wouldn't pay any more.
The first class ticket. Well, the top of the range tickets were $150, which was right front row. But that wasn't including the meet and greet. I can't find a price anywhere on the meet and greet, so I'm going to throw a figure out and say at least $1,000.
Yeah, jeez.
But for $150, look, normally when it comes to concerts or anything, especially at the Brisbane Entertainment Centre, because it's the worst freaking layout in the world.
Oh, is that thing out at Boondall?
Yeah.
Oh, that's rubbish.
So bad.
I'm not going out there.
Normally, I would just buy nosebleed seats because honestly, they're as bad as every other seat. It doesn't make any difference. But for someone like Woz, I would actually fork out and pay the $150 to get in the front dozen seats. Right. I think with somebody like him, knowing his personality and knowing his persona, I think that would be lost if you're any further away. I'd love to do the meet and greet thing. Don't get me wrong. I think that'd be fascinating, but I can't. I can see in my head that's going to be at least $1,000 to do that because they usually are. Yeah. But I know William Shatner did something a couple of years ago, something similar, and the ticket to go see him was $150 or something, and it was $3,500 to go to just basically handshake for 5 minutes.
Yeah, well, I don't know. Like, if you say, it'd be interesting to find out what that ticket price is, the meet and greet, because, like, just the accompanying text that came with the blurb, advertising this event. I'll read this to you. It goes, Woz has not yielded. What does it say? So it says, Australia will have the pleasure of being in the company of someone who can be said to have truly, literally changed the world. Among the many accomplishments for which Wozniak is renowned, two stand out above the rest. The inventor of the personal computer, and along with Steve Jobs, the co-founder of Apple. Woz's inventions have been an innovative as a path along which he has travelled to reach his destination. And remember I said a little while ago after the death of Jobsy that I reckon that Apple should reach out to Woz and just to have him just as just a figurehead or something, or someone they say, hey Woz, what do you reckon? What's in your brain? What else can we do? Now Australia.
Yeah, I mean, I bag him out. Like I give him a hard time, but everyone does. But at the end of the day, if the opportunity came up to meet the guy, it wouldn't matter if it was him. It wouldn't matter if it was back in the day. It wouldn't matter if it was Steve Jobs or Bill Gates or any of those guys. As much as you love them or hate them, they're the foundation for what we're doing now. Like, if they didn't do what they did,
that's right,
we wouldn't be doing this. So, whether you can stand them or not, I think if you've got the opportunity to go and see any of these sort of guys when they present themselves, it's something that you really owe it to yourself to do. Like, you may still come out of it still hating the guy. That's fine, but sit down, listen to what they've got to say, enjoy what they're doing, and learn from it. And it's still perfectly fine to say, like, I still can't stand him, but.
Oh, I know, he's a nice guy.
I know, but I'm just saying in general, not specifically but just in general. There are a lot of tech guys out there you can't stand, but at the end of the day, you stand back and go, man, look, I can't stand them, but I can't deny what they've done was amazing.
Yeah. Now, was apparently a net worth $100 million. So that's all right.
Is that all? I'm actually surprised. Although he probably has sold a lot of his shares and stuff over the years, hasn't he?
Oh, I wouldn't have a clue. But yeah, so anyway, Brisbane, Sydney, and they're all over a weekend by the look of it. The
26th of August for Brisbane.
27 and...
Oh, no, it's at the Convention Centre, so that's not too bad. I thought it was at the... Oh, well, it's at the Convention Centre.
I'll do Convention Centre.
Yeah, that's all right.
Yeah, I was surprised he'd want to drive out to that tip out at Boondall.
It's so bad.
It's a disgrace. And like you get all the way out there, and it's in the middle of nowhere. Right, this is the Brisbane Entertainment Centre. It takes you for ages to get there. If you come from where I live on the Gold Coast, so you drive all the way there. You're out in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing around, and they charge you $15-$20 to park. And then
after you've been in line for an hour to park.
Yeah, and then on your way out, there's one exit, and everyone's lined up for 2 hours trying to get out of the tip. Oh, it's a joke. I refuse to go.
So student. This is for Brisbane. Student prices are $59. They're located in the green section only, which green section is basically C reserve. C reserve tickets are $79. B reserves are $109. A reserves are $139. Premium is $169. And I'm actually just looking now, and it looks like there's still a couple. The entire front row is sold out, and most of the second row is sold out.
Now, if you jump on the web and you do look for tickets, now this is a little trap that I saw there. There's this website. Now I don't know if you've heard of this, but to me it looked like a bit of a scam. There's this website called Queen of Tickets that keeps coming up, and the tickets are like for the nosebleed, the cheapy stalls. Like you buy them from Ticketek for $70. These ones are $170. So these guys are just obviously, I don't know if they're buying them or they just buy them.
They're buying them because I'm just looking on this website here, which is Eventpia, who's, even though Ticketek's promoting it, Eventpia is selling the tickets.
Look at that, $199, $170, that's a joke.
Well, I'm guessing, there's a 50 ticket limit per sale. So, and that's what I said, the whole front row is sold out. So what's the bet? Well, actually, no, weirdly, the front row is not sold out. The back 2 rows are sold out, the $79 ones. They're all sold out. So what's the bet? That's what they've bought. They've gone and bought up all the $80 seats, and they're putting $100 on top. Because when guys like this do it, when like Eventopia and stuff do it, they're not as stringent on the after sales resale like Ticketek and that are. Like if you buy tickets through Ticketek, it's really hard to transfer that to someone else.
Yeah, right. I just try and look for the layout of the joint, but I can't.
If you go to get tickets, that's
Sydney.
See on your right hand side where it's got Margaret Court, Victoria. Change that to Brisbane.
Oh, whoops. Well, it doesn't matter anyway.
And it's in there, but yeah.
Yeah, right. Yeah, well, there we go. So yeah,
that's it.
You want the S18? That'd be good. Oh no, there's the stage. You want the S17?
Yeah, that's what I mean. S17 is the way to go. I think. The premium ones, if you scroll up, see it says premium, which is 188, which is that blue section, but it doesn't say anything about the meet and greet part of it. It just says that's the tickets for the seating.
Yeah.
So I can't see that including the meet. I mean, maybe it does, but I can't see that including the meet and greet.
No, I don't think so. Then you got all your $6 a transaction.
Oh yeah, $1.95 payment processing fee.
Yeah, all that rubbish. Yeah, it doesn't say. But anyway, look, if you're interested, go and find out what the meet and greet is yourself. I'm sure you can do it. Okay. Now we did that one. I've got one here. You got any more, Will? I've got a couple more.
We know how a couple of years ago. Well, this goes back to when Australia couldn't build submarines the first time around, I suppose, and then China decided they were going to have a go. Now it's French turn.
Yay.
The French shipbuilders have won a $50 billion contract to build Australia's next fleet of submarines, which I'm guessing is probably 2 like it was last time. Prime Minister Malcolm Turnbull announced the winning designer of the 12 new subs, 12, there you go, in Adelaide today. The subs are the most sophisticated naval vessels being built in the world, because they're probably currently the only ones building them, I think. They'll be built in Australia with Australian jobs using Australian steel by a French company. So none of the money's going to stay here.
Yeah, well, that's the problem, isn't it?
Mr. Turnbull said the subs would be built in Adelaide and the contract would generate next to 2,800 jobs. The combat system would be sourced from the United States, so, that's going to be reliable. because their missiles never misfire or anything. They don't use 5.25-inch floppies for their missile guidance systems or anything.
But what are we going to do with 12 subs? That's my question.
We don't use the ones we've got just because you can hear them a mile away, like the Collins class. Oh, great. Everyone bags them, but everyone stays away because they can hear them coming.
You put your head under the water, you hear brrrr.
Well, could you imagine the sonar guy trying to keep track of you? If you go, my ears!
Oh, here comes the Collins.
It'll be Australia's biggest and most complex defence procurement, costing as much as $150 billion over the life of the project, which has no determinate, like lifespan. Apparently, it's just random. Vessel number 1 will be launched next year because apparently they've mostly built it already. It'll be called the Barracuda.
Right.
Good Aussie name.
How can they have mostly built it if the contract was only awarded yesterday or the day before?
That's convertible. I don't know. It'll be slightly... Oh, okay. So the Aussie Barracuda will be slightly smaller than the 47,000-ton nuclear version, and only 45,000 tons.
Yeah, right.
And 97 metres. But it'll be much bigger than the 31,000-ton, 77-metre Collins Club that they'll be replacing. They're proposing... yeah, okay, French are up to date. They're proposing to be powered by lead-acid batteries.
Yeah, good.
There's this thing called lithium that, is... But, hey, whatever.
What do we know?
It's to be propulsion from an advanced top-secret jet instead of a conventional propeller.
Top secret?
Apparently it's a top-secret jet, but they know that it's quieter than a propeller, making the sub harder to detect.
Excellent.
So it's top secret, but they know all about it.
Nice. Good.
Apparently it's the only bidder which builds both conventional and nuclear boats. In its bid at the point of excessive experience, blah, 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 for the French Navy, for Malaysia, India, Chile, and Brazil, all of which have got hugely active military.
Well, let's just hope that they are going to use them and maybe in missions that we don't know anything about. And, yeah.
Well, that's the point of a stealth sub. You're not supposed to know about their missions.
No, that's right.
Now, not a class sub with some guy with a metal detector.
Can a computer fight dementia?
Yes.
Well, yes. New research from US. Well, I wouldn't have brought it up otherwise, would I?
No, I just figured that was the way you were going.
Now, the new research from US suggests that logging onto a computer once a week is enough to fight dementia. In a 4-year study of 2,000 people aged over 70, researchers at the Mayo Clinic, Arizona, found that using a PC helps your little brain when it comes to retaining memory and thinking abilities. The regular PC users were 42% less likely to develop memory problems that can lead to dementia. Other activities were tested, such as knitting, completing crosswords, and attending social events. They all helped to keep the brain alert, but none were as beneficial as the computer. So there you go.
Yeah, well, that makes sense because whether it be dementia or Alzheimer's or any of those neurological disorders, they're a breakdown of neural paths. But when you're doing something creative and something active, you're recreating or re-bridging those paths. So, it's not surprising that this is a positive thing. It is kind of surprising it's taken us so long to realise it, though.
Well, some probably come from some little nerdy boffin out there, that wasn't allowed on his computer as a kid. And he's going, well, I don't want the next generation to be...
No, but it makes sense because, effectively, I had a friend of mine whose father, well, actually, my brother-in-law's father and mother and quite a few people I know, but a particular friend of mine, his father had Alzheimer's. And he started... to put him in the nursing home, and he went downhill really quickly. So he brought him back home and started caring for him and started reintroducing all these things, like basic things like putting, wooden pegs into a board and those, 12-month-old to 2-year-old wooden jigsaws and, all that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
And within 12 to 18 months, he noticed that his father's cognitive abilities had come back to the point. And the Dutch in particular are really on the ball with this. They actually have nursing homes over there specifically just for, I think it's Dutch, Denmark, it's over there somewhere. They specifically have nursing homes for people with dementia. And what they actually do is they have it set. So they're going off the average age of a dementia patient is going to be like 60 or 70. So they actually have this little village set back 60 years. So that if a patient goes out in the streets, they get dressed up in the way they dress up, they'd go out, they'd pay with the money they're familiar with, they'd buy the products that are on the shelf that they're familiar with.
Wow.
You know, they come home, they use the TV they're familiar with, the radio they're familiar with, the way they cook is familiar. And they actually find those people go from not being able to get out of bed to completely functioning almost normally within a very short period of time, because it's all this familiarity that they're around on a regular basis. And the other thing they do which really benefits from them is they actually put creches or kindies or daycares in these facilities, and they basically invite these people to look after these kids, obviously under supervision, but they interact so well on such a great level with these children, and it really stimulates their brains, and it really brings them back into the world. Like they go from basically sitting in a chair drooling, unable to do anything, which sounds cool, but that's effectively what they do when they go into a nursing home. Is they left cool. Cruel.
Oh, cruel!
Cruel. There's an R in there.
I said, dribbling everywhere sounds cool.
Wow, yeah, but that's basically what happens when they go into a nursing home like that. But there's 3 nurses for 100 patients. Like there's just no time to go around. So when they set them up like this, these people have a whole new lease on life, and these nursing homes are actually booked out for decades. And the only way that there's a vacancy in these nursing homes, because of the way the funding is, literally it comes down to one of the old people dying to open up a vacancy to put somebody else in.
Yeah, look, it's no good at the end of your time, is it? It's some things.
But it's not. But with this sort of research and this sort of mindset and this sort of thing that's happening, it's becoming. Yeah, I don't normally leave my phone on, guys, and we've had comments about this before. The only reason I've got my phone not on silent at the moment is because Sonia's upstairs with the baby, and it's the only way she can communicate with me. So don't go crook at me.
Will's a doctor. He's on call. Dr. Will. Okay. He's checking.
Yeah, so it's...
All right. Well, while he checks his message...
No, it's fine. So basically, that's what it comes down to. With the combination of technology and the mindset of people now going, hey, look, we do need to prep for the future, I think it's only going to be a good thing.
Yeah. All right. So, look, before I don't know, I'm pretty much that's all I want to speak about. Have you got any more, Will?
A couple of quick ones.
All right. Well, I'll just before we get to them, on the Twitter, you go to at Aussie Tech News, at Aussie Tech Heads, at Glenn Goodman, at Mr. Tompkinson. I'm pretty sure that's from memory is your Twitter. And if you want to grab our attention, hashtag Aussie Tech Heads. That's good enough. All right, Will, let's finish up with what you've got.
So quickly, Australia's made number 1 in the world again.
Good. It's fast internet.
It has something to do with the internet. Yes.
The fastest.
It also has something to do with downloading. And it also has something to do with Game of Thrones.
Yes. And it also has something to do about people hating Foxtel.
Yeah, pretty much. So again, this season, Australia has topped the piracy charts for Game of Thrones. More than 1 million people pirated the premiere of Game of Thrones season 6 overnight. Australians are in front of the world queue despite legal avenues to access the TV show at the same time it aired. Australians beat the world's biggest countries to the top for illegally downloading The Red Woman, according to Torrent Freak, which estimated Australia represented 12.5% of all BitTorrent downloads for the episode. Downloads down under were followed in those are India with 9.7%, and the United States with 8.5%, and UK with 6.9%. Almost half of those who illegally downloaded the show chose high def, despite the extra bandwidth required.
Well,
just to be a stubborn ass about it. If I'm going to download it illegally, I'm going to pirate it. I'm going to do it in the best possible quality I can.
Well, yeah, that's right. You do. You need to. Well, you've got to go down in high quality. Hey, no good going down for standard def. That's what I say.
Despite the Australian downloading fees, Game of Thrones screened on pay TV, and this was the reason it was downloaded, because it was screened on pay TV Foxtel at 11 a.m. the same time it debuted overseas on the Monday. But that's the problem. They put it on Foxtel, and most people don't have Foxtel anymore because they can't afford it because they're too busy paying for their internet to pay for downloads.
There's an article I read through the week. Now, I assume, who knows, it's on the internet, so who knows if it's true or not. I've got no reason to believe it's not. But the Foxtel Play, now, you don't have to subscribe to the full Foxtel. You can subscribe to this Foxtel Play, which they've made a bit cheaper because of the Game of Thrones thing. But the problem seems to be that it streams, right? So it's a streaming service, the Foxtel Play, but it streams at 480p or something?
Yep, it's no HD.
And it's still...
It's only designed to use on small devices, see? So you don't really... Like, the difference between 480 and 1080 on a device, even on a tablet, even on a 10-inch or 12-inch tab, is nothing. It's not designed to be watched on TV, even though you can. So they deliberately cripple it effectively. That's why it's cheaper. You're paying for a crippled service.
Yeah, here's that story. It was that... I don't know how you even pronounce the website, Kotaku, kotaku.com.au, and it's just a guy that he's tried the Game of Thrones, he tried the Foxtel Play, he tried everything to try and get it, legally, pay for it, but at the end of the day, I think Foxtel even gave him a free subscription because he wrote a blog about it and how disappointed he was last year, and so they got the free subscription, and he said he still couldn't use it. He said it was just no good. He says
it's like
it was just rubbish.
But one thing I kind of get irked with these stories because they're only monitoring, and I mean, obviously they're monitoring our traffic regardless of what we think, but they're only monitoring the torrents in this. I don't know how many people streamed it on Roku or on, XBMC or whatever the chain. What do they call that now?
Kodu or Kodi.
Kodu, something like that. Because that's how we watched it. Like, we just streamed it. I mean, so many people now don't download because downloading obviously takes hard drive space. And 99% of the things you're never going to watch again. So many people now stream, especially, as you know, there's not only torrents, but there's billboards, there's all sorts of public forums available.
Yeah, like I was just thinking about this today. Like I know that the Foxtel and the Village Roadshow, they're all there's the new laws in Australia or whatever where they can start blocking these torrents, from appearing on the sites or whatever. But anyway, there's something they're trying to do something. There's something in the midst, and they're trying to block the actual torrents or something. But when push comes to shove, and I know we've talked about this ad nauseum before, but before the internet, we swapped hard drives, right? So you still,
before that, we swapped VCRs.
Yeah, and so where we're going to get to is, okay, so all the torrent sites get thrown out, they're all blocked, blah, blah, blah. So you just open up your personal little, I don't know, Dropbox or something, share that around with your friends, and then I share it in my little Dropbox circle, so Will's part of that, then he's got another Dropbox circle, they're just not going to stop it. They will not stop it. So
you look at something like Yammer, for example. Yammer, you can have unlimited users, and you can have video files up to 2 gig, and unlimited video files up to 2 gig. So you can just add your own Yammer group with all your mates and upload the videos to there. So all they're doing effectively is slowing down the internet. That's all they're doing, because every single IP and every single address that gets typed in and gets resolved has to get filtered.
Yeah. Yeah.
So at the end of the day, all they're doing is slowing down what is already a dog slow, connection.
I hear through the week, Quick Flicks has just about gone to God. So that was
surprising, really.
I don't know why they went nowhere, didn't they?
It's kind of self-inflicted though.
Yeah, they just weren't good enough. Netflix came in and bashed them all up. Look, there was something else I can't remember. I was going to go on with about the torrenting and so forth, but it's gone out of my brain probably just as well.
About that just quickly. 2 Swiss pilots have just taken turns to fly solar-powered plane around the world.
I hope they got a battery.
His last name, his name's Bertrand Piccard, ironically, completed a risky 3-day flight across the great expanse of the Pacific Ocean while sleeping for only 20 minutes at a time inside the plane's tiny cockpit with no heat or air conditioning, and while having to keep constant contact with the Europe-based control center. You've got interviews, navigation control, communications with the control center in Monaco. You have health checks, a lot of health checks. It's very active. There's lots of things to do. But basically, the Solar Impulse 2 which is their new version. They tried this a couple of years ago. I don't think they successfully did it in one stop. But the Cell Impulse 2, following a 62-hour non-stop solo flight from Hawaii without a single drop of fuel. Basically, I don't know if this story... I was reading an article that had all the specs of the plane. It was quite interesting to read about, actually. I don't know if this one... the plane's ideal flight speed, which is strange, is 45 kilometres an hour, which is actually quite slow. But it'll double that during the day when the sun's rays are the strongest. The carbon fibre aircraft weighs 2,200 kilos. The plane's wings are wider than a Boeing 747. And they're equipped with 17,000 solar cells to power the propellers and charge the batteries. The plane runs on the stored energy of a night. So, I mean, it's a really good starting point to prove that this sort of thing is possible. It is a second attempt at it, but yeah, it's quite an amazing thing to do if you think that the ability to keep a plane up in the air, like, traditionally requires absolutely stupid amounts of
stuff.
Well, not only fuel, but noise, and then all this other stuff that goes with it as well. Plus, 10,000 people to service the stupid thing. Whereas this one, because it literally has 4 moving components, which are the 4 motors that drive the 4 propellers, there's basically no maintenance on it. Check the battery banks once in a blue moon, and make sure there's no birds in the motors. That's about all you got to worry about doing. So the maintenance is a lot lower. The build cost is a lot lower. Well, it would be a lot lower. Once it became more than just a prototype. And okay, it's not necessarily practical, only holding one person, a bit of luggage, but there's nothing to say that, that can't be increased later on. But I just find it fascinating that something like that, given that whatever it was 100 years ago or thereabouts, it took them 80 days to travel around the world in a hot air balloon.
Well, that's right. When were the Wright brothers? They were just over 100?
This one, 110 years ago or something like that. And they flew, 6 foot?
Yes. All right.
So... And even when transatlantic flights became a thing, even with commercial aeroplanes, it was still I can't remember what it was, 36-hour flight or something to fly around the world. And admittedly, it still took him, 36 hours, was it? Something like that to do. But the thing is, one guy did it by himself he obviously had help from control tower and stuff, but effectively, one guy did it by himself, flew around the world in a plane on solar power. When you think about it, it's pretty amazing. 62 hours, so.
It's not bad. That's all right. Good to start.
3 days.
Somewhere to start.
3 days to go around the world. I can handle that.
Now, look, I've just been told we've got to say hello to listeners in Hempstead, in England. How you going? Quite a few of you over there.
Apparently, about a quarter of the population, it seems.
You know who you are. Send us an email if you're in Hempstead in the UK. I'd like to know what Hempstead is like and what goes on over there. You got a few listeners. All right.
Okay. One more quick story. It's only a quick 30-second story. We all know Tesla. I mean, I love the thing. Great. 30,000 battery cells. Fantastic. I just love the Tesla. But, and this was going to happen. It was always a matter of time. A Chinese tech giant has unveiled a new electric car that hopes it will rival a Tesla S. The announcement was part of the press conference in Beijing, in which Leco, the name of the company is Leco, and they make electric cars, go figure, addressed the recent name change and new range of products, extending its already diverse marketing of smartphones, TVs, set-top boxes, and smart TVs. Leco took the jump into electric cars, because that seems like the natural progression. Has a top speed of 210 kilometers an hour. Doesn't say anything about range, which doesn't surprise me because they're just getting started. But
not that Leco.
Hey,
not that Leco.
nor is it Lego. It's spelt capital L small e capital ECO, so it'll be LECO, more or less, I guess. The Eco, because they were LETV. So it'd be interesting. I mean, it's just good to see. I don't necessarily think this particular model is going to be that much of a competition to them, but it's good to see that there is that sort of, which is what what's his name? Elton. Is it Elton? I can never remember his name. The guy who owns Tesla, Elon Musk, something like that.
Yeah.
He has always said that the reason he's doing it is to inspire competition. So there we go. Now that he's devised a bus for London, I think, for the UK as well, he's devised electric buses for those.
Yeah, right.
Well. Okay. So he's going off. So.
I was going to try and look for something just as a special treat for those on the video, but I can't find it. You can probably search for it if you're interested. It was nothing important. It was just someone, not the first person, but someone strapped a little camera onto the top of a little Lego train as it smooched around the track. It was quite interesting, I thought. All right, enough of that. All right, we're done. Will we done?
Done enough.
All right, good stuff. So, that's it. I've given you all the goss about where to find us and where to get us, and you know where to find us because you've already found us, haven't you? So iTunes and Facebook, YouTube, whatever it takes. Just make sure you jump on board and listen. Give the Aussie Tech Radio a go. Tune in radio app. You can search for Aussie Tech Radio. I think you can even search for Aussie Tech Heads. I think we're on there as well. All right, so good stuff. That's the end of episode 485. Thanks, Will, for coming in. We shall see you again soon, hopefully.
No worries, mate. Hopefully it can be a little bit more regular.
Yes, well, let's hope so. Let's get as the baby grows up. I'm sure you'll get into more of a routine, and
hopefully in the next 6 months or so he'll be hosting.
Well, that's right. Hopefully sometime in the next 16 years, you'll be right.
Yeah, he's 6 months old. Start of this week.
That goes fast, doesn't it? Goes really. Is he crawling yet?
He's figured out how to roll, so he rolls onto his stomach, and he does the push-ups. Yep. And he does the rocking backwards and forwards.
Yeah, it won't be far.
So he's not far away.
Oh,
and his favourite expression is bub 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 dad dad dad.
Oh, nice. You're gonna have to keep him out of that room there, Will. There's lots of little things for him to play with.
Builds character.
Until he starts sticking fingers in CPUs, in your production machine.
Yeah, but you can't do it 10 times.
Well, yeah, that's fair enough. That's good. All right. Well,
you'll learn at some point in that progression.
Well, we'll see you soon, and thanks for listening, and hopefully you will hear us soon as well, once again. All right, so from me and Will, it's a good night. Bye-bye.
See you guys.